So today I wanted to talk a little bit about noticing the difference between red flags or self-sabotage. So self-sabotage happens when we enter into something new, especially a new relationship that is alien to us, that is unknown to us, that is different to what we've known before. So for my own experience especially, and for a lot of ladies that I do know, some clients and some friends that I've worked with, because we've only experienced low vibrational, abusive, toxic, narcissistic relationships in the past, we tend to, I suppose, fear healthy relationships. We fear healthy love because it's so alien to us, it's so unknown to us. And because with us humans, it's the same with the comfort zone, where we fear taking risks. And when something does come along that's good for us, it frightens us because, and that's the thing, if you're unhealed, if you're still holding all that lack of self-worth, those self-limiting beliefs, that unworthiness within you, you're going to not feel worthy of a high vibrational love. So therefore you're going to repel it. Because of our unhealed traumas, this is why we've attracted abuse in the past. And because of our unworthiness, this is all we think we're worthy of. Now, because of this, it's ingrained within us that this is what love looks like. This is what love should look like. This is the only thing we've ever known. So if we enter into something that's healthy, that's completely different to what we've known, it does frighten us. And it's gas how our mind works, because we're actually afraid of something we've wanted so much for so long. We've such love within us, we've such love to give, and we've craved that happy ever after. We've craved that fairy tale for so long because we've only ever known abuse. We've only ever known toxicity. And because of this, we actually inadvertently, unconsciously sabotage anything good that comes into our lives. And this doesn't have to pertain to relationships alone. It can be to new work environments, but it can even be to yourself. I'll tell you a couple of stories about my own personal self-sabotage, and then I'll explain a little bit more about the relationship side of things. But back a few years ago, before I'm on a healing journey for a very long time. I stayed single for a long time because of this, to heal my heart, to prevent me from attracting narcissists again, and to attract that healthy love into my life. But because of unconscious wounds, because of unhealed unworthiness, lack of self-worth, I actually self-sabotaged my body, my image, because of this image I had in my mind. Because of something an ex said about me, I felt that I was ugly. I felt that I just wasn't enough, that I wasn't good enough. And because of this, when I had a low state, or when I had a really bad day, what I would actually do, because unconsciously I saw ugly, I created that ugly. So I used to squeeze my face, I used to squeeze my arms, my legs. I used to squeeze spots that weren't there, but I actually ended up creating spots. My whole chest and everything, my whole face, my arms were covered in spots that I created because of this unconscious image I had in my head. And that's what self-sabotage is. We recreate this image that we have in our mind. Because that's what we see. This is the vision we see. And this happened to me with food as well. Because I had a low vibrational day or something bad happened, I spent a few weeks, this is really, I used to have an unhealthy relationship with food anyway. But I remember a couple of years ago, I got so depressed that I was eating so much. I would eat so much to my tummy actually really, really hurt. And I would still eat more. I couldn't physically stop eating. And I knew I was in pain. I knew I was gaining weight. And this happened over a few weeks. The weight came on really quickly. But every day I couldn't stop eating. And the pain was really bad. But I still ate through that pain. This is because of self-sabotage, because of an image that I had in my head and that I was recreating. So when it comes to self-sabotage, and when you enter a new relationship, when you enter a healthy relationship, and all you've ever known is toxicity, you kind of believe, you're like, right, the past is going to repeat itself. So therefore, this guy is going to just hurt me the same way the rest of them did. So therefore, you unconsciously recreate scenarios in your head and inadvertently drive that person away in a sense, because you feel, well, you won't drive that person away because they're actually a good person, but your fear is saying to you, right, this guy's going to hurt me, this guy's going to abuse me, so therefore let's rip this band-aid off quick, you're not doing this consciously, obviously, let's ruin this relationship so that it's over and done with now, the pain is gone now, and then we can move on and go back into our little box. And that's the thing, you think to yourself, right, this guy's going to hurt me eventually, there's no point in getting into this relationship for a few years when he's just going to hurt me, let's just rip the band-aid off now, this is just going to not work out. And then you create these scenarios in your head, and like that's the thing, what I like with us women as well, and I've seen this so many times, and I've seen it with clients and I've seen it with friends. Some women, because they're so used to having toxicity, the bad guy image, the bad guy as a potential partner or as an ex-partner, they get the ick, they get, you know, disgusted by the nice guy if they're not healed, because they still unconsciously think they're unworthy of a nice guy, and therefore because the nice guy is so alien to what they've known, it's like, oh, he's too nice, oh no, like he's too nice, I don't like that. But it's actually an unconscious mechanism because you think you don't deserve it. So that's the thing, like, you know, like we create these scenarios, and that's the thing, right? Are they red flags, or are you creating red flags? You know what I mean? Like when you enter into something new that's unknown and alien to you, you're recreating scenarios, you're making up stories in your head because you expect the past to repeat itself. And you know, I'm like, that's the thing, this has come up for me lately. I've helped clients and girlfriends and other people through self-sabotage, and I see it straight away the minute they speak about something. I'm like, this is self-sabotage, I know how to help you, this is what we're doing. But that has not stopped it from happening to me. And, you know, I've healed so much over the last years. Like, I'm not getting the ick, obviously, because I know I deserve this love. And I know I deserve a nice guy. But I'm still recreating these scenarios in my head because I expect the past to repeat itself. I expect to be ghosted again. I expect to be abused again. I expect to be used again and not treated right. And, like, you know, at the very early stages, I was like, what's going on here? Like, is this a red flag, or am I creating a red flag? You know, and I remember at the very start, like, you know, I actually said to myself, oh, he's a nice guy and I'm not getting the ick. I'm like, yeah, I'm healed, I'm not self-sabotaging. The next day, I ended up self-sabotaging because my limiting beliefs came in. And I started to ask myself, why am I feeling these feelings? I was feeling rejection, I was feeling abandonment issues, I was feeling pain. And like, this guy hadn't done anything, but I was feeling these things. And I'm like, why are you feeling these feelings? And I sat with myself and I understood what it was like, what it was. I was questioning unconsciously. I was kind of saying to myself, this guy is going to just hurt me again. This guy is just going to ghost me again. He's going to use me. This is what he's going to do. This is what the other ones did. So I'm going to end up just getting hurt again. And I've been so closed off for the last few years, trying to heal. Well, I was trying to heal my heart anyway, but then because of having to walk away from family members and other people, friends as well, I ended up bottling and closing up so completely, closing my heart off so completely, because I was afraid. My abandonment move was triggered, so therefore I was afraid to let anyone else in again. So when I sat with my triggers, you know, entering into this new thing, I discovered that what I was actually unconsciously doing was, I was kind of saying, do we even bother? Should I even try? Is he not going to hurt me like the rest of them? Would it not be easier just to stay here in my little box and not do this at all? Would it be easier just to stay closed off and keep my heart closed and not get hurt at all? And that's exactly what I was thinking on an unconscious level, because obviously I didn't think that on the surface. But because I was getting triggered, I had to sit with myself, and I was like, you're self-sabotaging. I knew I was self-sabotaging. And then the day before, I was like, yeah, I'm not self-sabotaging. And then the day after, I was. But it was a weird self-sabotage, you know, and I was like, what's going on here? Why am I feeling these feelings? Why am I feeling rejection? Why am I feeling pain? Because I was creating that for myself. I was like, you know, creating red flags. there wasn't any red flags, because I know what a red flag is now. I know I was slapped with red flags in the face for years. I kind of know what a red flag is now. So therefore, I'm very, very cautious at the moment. But I'm like, is this a red flag or is it self-sabotage? And like, I know it's self-sabotage because I know from helping others through self-sabotage, I know exactly what it is. And that is it. It's so alien. And I call nice men aliens because, they're an alien to me. They're an alien concept if you've only been in toxic relationships. And because it's unfamiliar, and that's the problem with us humans. When it's unfamiliar, it scares us. It actually frightens the crap out of us. Like, do you know what I mean? It really does. And it's like, that's why, all these, like years ago, or I don't know, people still say it, but us women was like, oh, I love a bad boy. We don't love a bad boy. We're just used to bad boys. And we think that's what we want. But we want a good guy. We want a nice guy. We want a respectful guy. We want a guy who actually, doesn't treat us like shit. Like, we want somebody nice, but unconsciously, because of our unworthiness, we think we want a bad guy. But no, we're used to the bad guy. We're used to being treated like shit. We're used to that. That's familiar. That's a known territory to us. So therefore, it's easy. Well, it's not easy, but you know what I mean? We think that is what we want. We think that's what we need because we haven't healed our unconscious insecurities. We haven't healed our traumas. And we will continue to attract low vibrational bad guys into our lives if we don't face our inner wounds and our triggers. And then when we do get that nice guy, we need to be healed enough to be aware of that. And I remember helping, clients and a couple of friends through self-sabotage before, and praying to myself that I would be healed enough by the time I got into a relationship again, not to self-sabotage. And as I said, I started seeing someone and I was like, yay, I'm not self-sabotaging, I'm not getting the ick. I actually really like the compliments. I'm able to take the compliments now because I'm whole within myself. Whereas years ago, if somebody complimented me, I'm like, no, don't be stupid. Like, I don't, I get freaked out even, or repelled by somebody complimenting me because I wasn't able to take a compliment. But this guy was complimenting me and I was like, oh my God, yay, I can take it now. I'm so happy. I'm not getting the ick. And, I'm like, yeah, I'm healed. And then literally the next day I felt rejection. I felt those wounds coming up and all those self-limited beliefs. And I was like, why is this happening? Because he hasn't done anything to make me feel this way. And I realized I was making myself feel this way. I was creating scenarios within my mind. Fear in the past would repeat itself. Fearing that he would hurt me. Fearing trying something new. Fear and leaving my comfort zone, leaving that box, leaving that bubble. Because I've been in this cage for the last year, I've been consciously healing and opening my heart. But because of the heart opening I've been doing over the last few months, I realized how closed my heart was. Now, my heart was pretty closed my whole life. I had enough open to give love, but I found it very hard to receive love because I didn't feel worthy of love. So because of this, and then because of all of the things that happened over the last few years, I closed completely. I shut off completely. So now, because I'm after opening my heart more, I'm accepted. There's more love coming into my life. There's more opportunities coming into my life, but I'm still on the fence, kind of. It's like, do I go or do I stay or do I go? Is it not is it not easier to stay in my box? Is it not easier to stay closed off and not let anyone in, so therefore I can't potentially get hurt again? And that's the self-sabotage I was doing. It was a form of protection because we expect the past to repeat itself. We really do. And even though I know I've done my healing, even though I know I deserve this, it's still so unknown. And it's like you're trying to create red flags. That's it. You create these red flags. You don't even, they're not red flags because obviously, as I said, we know what red flags are. But there is no red flags. That's the whole thing, right? When you meet somebody who is completely different to your past, completely different to your exes, who doesn't treat you like shit and isn't red flagging you, you're kind of going, oh, this is scary, but that should be proof enough that it's real, because it's so alien to what you've known. So that should be enough to trust the situation. How you feel around that person, the fact that they're not red flagging you, they're not treating you like dirt. This should be enough for you to know that this is healthy rather than codependent or toxic. But because there's no red flags and because it's different, that's the thing, because it's different. And you're like, why isn't he treating me the same way as the other people did? You know, why isn't this relationship looking the same way as the other ones did? And like, you know, obviously you don't want to be treated like shit, but you're kind of going, because you've only known this kind of relationship dynamic, this new relationship dynamic is kind of freaking you out, and you're like, is that a red flag? But like, it's not actually a red flag, it's a green flag. It's obviously the opposite of what you've known. So that's the thing, like, you know, I suppose you have to be aware of your triggers, be aware of your thoughts. If you're getting into something that's completely alien to what you've known, this is actually a good sign. We have to stop picking on the fact that it's different. We have to stop saying, is this a red flag because it's different? No, it's a green flag because it's different. Do you get me? So like, you have to ask yourself why you're feeling what you're feeling. You know, and that's the thing. As I said, I was feeling these rejection wounds come up. I was feeling my abandonment wound come up, and I was like, why am I feeling this when there's nothing really to have triggered this? There's nothing wrong with this relationship. So therefore, why am I feeling all these wounds? I was creating them. I was recreating the past. And I've seen this with other people, recreating scenarios in their head. Like, I was, you know, your fantasy land. It's literally, you're creating this whole scenario in your head that isn't real. And it's only being created because of your past self-limiting beliefs, because your fear in the past creating itself. So therefore, you're recreating it unconsciously because of your unhealed trauma. And that's the thing, like, you know, this it's hard. Like, and I find this with any kind of relationship. You know, we get into these relationships and we ruin it because of our insecurities and our unhealed wounds, because we spend the first 3 months of the relationship freaking out that they're going to leave. And like, sometimes that does happen if it's not the right relationship. But the thing is, like, we should be allowed to enjoy this. And that's where the healing comes in. Heal your wounds, heal your core wounds, your core abandonment, rejection wound. Heal your issues around why you attracted toxicity in the past. And then you'll be able to understand how you're feeling going into something alien, you know, something new. Because when you can face them, like, you know, and I'm so grateful that I understand self-sabotage. It doesn't make it easier. It doesn't make it easier. No matter how aware you are of self-sabotage, no matter how aware you're doing it, you still have to go through those lessons. You know, you still have to kind of go, okay, what am I doing, or what can I do differently? Because you don't want to seem like all psycho and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, going into an early stage of the relationship, you need to start addressing why you're triggered, what you're feeling, because every single trigger is yours. It's yours to heal. It's an unhealed wound within you. If somebody external to you, if something external to you triggers something within you, that has absolutely nothing to do with that person and everything to do with what you need to face within you. So when you're triggered, when you're feeling these emotions and this upset, ask yourself why. Why am I feeling this? And it is self-sabotage, because you're creating this rejection, because you're feeling rejected for no reason, in a sense. You're feeling rejected because you're expecting to feel rejected. You're feeling rejected because you're expecting to be hurt again. You're kind of creating that rejection in yourself so that you can go back into your little box, go back into your little cave and say, I'm not getting out of here again. I'm not going out here. If I don't go out of my cave, I can't get hurt. And that's what we fear. And like, you know, even though, and that this can happen with anything really, but like, this is why it's so important to do that inner healing. Because we all deserve to be loved unconditionally by ourselves, but by another person as well. We all deserve that happy ever after. We all do deserve that fairy tale. But if we don't heal the reasons we attracted toxic relationships, if we don't heal the wounds around that, we will continue to attract toxic relationships, but we will also sabotage anything good that comes into our lives because of fear of the unknown, fear of the unfamiliar. And that's what it is. We're just, I just think the way we are as humans, it's just crazy because we're so conditioned with this ego societal mind. It's like a fight or flight thing. It's like this fear, our ego keeps us safe because obviously there's the caveman mentality of if we go outside the cave, we're going to get killed. So anything unknown to us is going to get us killed. But that's not going to happen. Do you know? And like, you know, we've worked so hard on ourselves to get out of this toxic pattern. We have to start loving ourselves fully and understanding that we deserve high vibrational love and be able to accept it. And that's the thing. It's opening your heart enough to be able to accept it. We're not going to self-sabotage if we open our hearts and let this in. But if our heart is closed, we're going to be like, no, not letting it in. And then you create these scenarios and you self-sabotage that relationship and you drive it away. Open your heart and receive it. Know that you are worthy of it. Know that you deserve this. Know that this guy is not going to hurt you like the other ones. Know that you're ready. And that's what it is. Like, you know, I've consciously been single for like 6 years. I dated a little bit on and off throughout that, but I've been independent and single for 6 years, consciously healing my heart, consciously healing those wounds so that I would not attract toxic relationships again, that I would attract high vibrational love. And I knew all that hard work would pay off. I knew it would. I knew the universe would reward me when I was ready. And yet I know I'm ready, but by God, like the mind still, it's so powerful. No matter how ready I feel and no matter how worthy I know I am of love now, I am still kind of going, do I not go back here? It's easier to stay. And like, you know, that's another thing, because I have been single for so long and I've been independent for so long. It's a fear of losing myself again as well. It's a fear of being hurt and losing myself again. But we're not going to repeat the codependent relationship patterns we did. We're going to actually end up in an interdependent relationship. And I did a video on that now yesterday. Like, you know, once we heal our wounds, we're not going into a relationship now because we need to be in a relationship. We're going into one because we want to be in a relationship and because we deserve it. You know, we deserve it now. And that's what you need to understand. You deserve a high vibrational, unconditional, alien love. You don't deserve this abuse. And that's the thing. We think that's all we deserve. Because of even our trauma in childhood and the relationships we've seen growing up, we have this toxic model of what love should look like. You know, and personally, I like in my childhood, like my mother left early, but I saw toxic dynamics within other relationships in my family. And that's the model I had. So therefore I attracted that into my life because of my unworthiness, but because I thought that was all love looked like, and that's all that love was. And I remember, like, you know, I used to see couples years ago and they weren't the right couples for each other. They were mismatched and you could see that they hated each other and they actually resented each other. And I was like, oh my God, is this what love is? And I always dreamed of that fairy tale. And then I actually met a few people who actually had their alien, you know, and I'm like, what is this? What is this going on here? And I was like, oh my God, they actually love each other. And it was just like, to actually see a healthy model of love and actually really love in front of your eyes, you're like, wow, I can have this one day. I don't have to have toxic anymore. I can have good. And that's when I decided to consciously heal and to stay single. Because I said to myself, I'm not going to risk attracting another toxic person into my life. I'm going to heal enough for me to get to a stage where I will attract healthy love in. And I want to heal enough so that I don't self-sabotage this healthy love. So we need to be mindful of that as well. Don't be in a position that you're going to self-sabotage. Heal your wounds and heal your insecurities. Heal your unworthiness. Know that you are worthy. Know that if you stay single long enough to do that healing, you won't attract toxicity anymore and you will attract that alien love into your life. Do you know what I mean? So, like, we're forced to kind of, society has led us to believe that we need to be in a relationship, or that we need to be married by a certain age, or we need to be settled down by a certain age, and that if you don't do it that way, you're doing it wrong. This is bullshit. And like, there's other times as well, this makes me so angry. You might be single 6 months and your friends are telling you, oh, you get back on the horse now, you're single way too long. 6 months is not enough time to heal after a toxic relationship. A year isn't enough time to heal after a toxic relationship. It's not, like. And your friends telling you need to get back on the horse and that you need to be riding someone. No, sorry for my language there. Jesus. Give yourself time to heal. Be patient with yourself. You're going to keep repeating those same patterns unless you heal your toxic relationship, or unless you heal your core wounds. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself that time. Find yourself again before you enter something new. Find who you are separate from somebody else. Find your independence. Find that love within you. So then when you do attract love into your life, when you're ready, it won't be toxic, and it will be that happy ever after. It will be that fairy tale, and you'll be ready, and you won't self-sabotage, and you will actually go into it kind of going, okay, is this, you'll see that it's green flags. Like, come on, like, in fairness, we know what red flags are, girls. We know what they're like. We have been slapped with red flags our whole lives. When something is completely different to what you've known, that is a massive, massive green flag. Really is. And we need to stop creating these red flags. We need to stop creating these scenarios that aren't even there. We need to stop self-sabotaging something that's special because we deserve it now. Do that time, do that healing, just do that work on yourself. Love yourself fully so that you can attract high vibrational love into your life. Do that healing because it is worth it. And I'm telling you, it's magical. It is magical. You know what? Literally, when you're ready, when you do that healing, love will knock at your door, and it will be the healthy, high vibrational love that you want. And I mean it knocks at your door. It actually arrives at your door. The universe hands it to you on a plate, and you're like, oh, I knew it was coming, but I didn't know how because I don't socialize or I don't do dating sites. But it arrived right at my door. And I'm like, mind blown. So you do that work. You do that inner healing. Do that, all that. Release all that toxicity and the reason for the toxic patterns, and literally the universe will hand you your reward on a plate right to your front door, and it will be magical, and you will be healed enough not to drive it away. So be careful when something is new, when something is alien, when something is unknown to you, that, if you see red flags, you're probably not seeing red flags. You're probably actually creating red flags. You're probably creating those scenarios out of nowhere. Your insecurities are the reason for you to drive away something that is good for you, because we're not used to it. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of what you need to heal. If you're triggered, ask yourself why. What is within you that is preventing you from moving forward? What is within you that is making you feel this way? Because, like, in fairness, the first week I was self-sabotaging, and I was freaking out, and I was creating these stories, I was creating these scenarios, and now I'm literally, because I've done that like, I was only brief moments of triggers, and I've done that healing, and like now I'm just so relaxed, and I'm like, yeah, bring it in, my heart is open, let it all come in, let it flow. Do you know what I mean? So, like, that's the thing. If when you're healed enough to enter something, and you do have those triggers or that mini self-sabotaging, you will be conscious enough to heal it quickly, burst your heart open, and be able to receive this the way you deserve to receive it. And it will be absolutely magical, I promise. It will be worth the wait. If you stay single for a little while, find yourself, do that inner healing, heal your core wounds, and then you won't sabotage that magic that is going to enter your life. So I really hope this helps, and I'm really grateful for you for listening today. And if it does resonate, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can help as many people as possible. And if you would like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path. Thanks again. Bye-bye.